Right, in this video we are going to talk about rules for translations and reflections. You may have already kind of noticed these in the last video and when you were doing that last worksheet. So today we're just going to really just discuss some patterns that happen that we can apply to coordinates. Okay, so translation, remember, we are sliding an image. So a lot of times I will tell you to move right or left or up or down. So we're specifically going to talk about what is happening to the coordinates when we do that. So in your notes here I say to the right, what happens is whatever your x value is, if I tell you to move to the right 3, you are going to then add 3 to a coordinate. Okay, so if the coordinate was 5, -7, and I said to go to the right 3, your new coordinate would be at 8. Okay, and so then let's skip down to the up, which affects the y coordinate. So if I'm moving up, I'm increasing that y coordinate. So if I said to go up 4, you would be adding 4 to the y coordinate, which would make it now -3. So this is kind of how our coordinates would change if I told you to go to the right 3 and up 4. Okay, because we're going to count to the right 4 and we're going to count up, or to the right 3 and up 4, and that would be the change to the coordinates. So we could write those coordinates I had you do in the last video without even graphing. So that's kind of what these rules are doing. So if I'm moving to the left, I'm decreasing my coordinate. So we would subtract whatever number I tell you. So say I tell you to move to the left 3. Again, let's just do the example. This is your starting point. If I told you to go to the left 3, you're going to subtract 3 from the x coordinate, which then gives you 2. Okay, so then if I told you to maybe move down 4, moving down, you're decreasing that y coordinate, which then would bring us to -11. So this would be to the left 3, down 4. Translation there. It's going to slide that image. So proper form, instead of saying going to the right, going to the left, and using words, I can now tell you how to perform a translation using this notation. So I'll say xy, meaning your coordinate. You are going to translate x. If I put +3 here, that's a cue that you're going to go to the right 3. And maybe subtract 4, that would mean you're going to go down 4. So you're now going to have to interpret what this means as far as right, left, up, or down. Okay, so let's look at some examples. And we got to write the rule ourselves, so that's where we're going to start. So I've already given you the pre-image and then the image, the one with the primes. Right, so this is where I end, is in this blue form here. So some xy coordinates, what's happening to them. Okay, so we always just start with xy is being translated to, let's see, from here we went to the right 1, and we went 1, 2, 3 down. Okay, and that's the same for every coordinate, right? Because when we translate, we do that to every single vertice. So to the right 1 means I'm adding 1 to my x coordinate, and when I'm going down 3, I'm subtracting 3 from my y coordinate. So that is our rule there. Okay, so if you're somebody who might have counted down first and then to the right, realize down is still your y coordinate. Okay, so go ahead and try to write the rule yourself here. So T is going to T prime, P is going to P prime, B is going to B prime. Okay, this is my pre-image, this is my final image there. So we are just moving up 4. We are not moving left or right at all, which means my x-coordinate is not changing, but my y-coordinate is increasing by 4. Okay, and if you wanted to put +0 here, that is also fine, but we don't need it. Okay. So performing a rule, we have to interpret what this is telling me to do to our pre-image here. Then we're actually going to draw it out on our grid. So x minus 4, x is always left or right. The fact that it is subtract is telling me to go to the left 4. Okay, y is always up or down. Because it's add, it is telling me to go up 1. So for each point, I'm going to go to the left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1. So this becomes my E prime. And then same thing for every point. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, F prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, G prime. Okay, so now we're just performing a translation using the rule notation. So pause that video and try this next one. So this is telling you to go to the right 2. This is telling you to go down 2. So right 2, down 2, E prime, G prime, F prime. There we go. So taking away the graph, we are going to write the coordinates of each ordered pair after the translation. So translate up 3, up affects my y coordinates, and it's increasing it by 3. So we're just kind of interpreting from words to notation. Left 5, left affects my x coordinates, and it decreases it by 5. So 2 here, this is my x coordinate, so I want to subtract 5. And my y coordinate, I need to add 3. So my new coordinate here, oops, A prime, because A is here, so when we go to the other side, we need our A prime. And then my new coordinate, 2 minus 5 gives me negative 3. Negative 4 plus 3 gives me negative 1. So why don't you go ahead and write the new coordinates for this one. So right is our x coordinate increasing by 3. Up is our y coordinate increasing by 4. So B prime becomes 13, 2. So go ahead and do C also. So down is y decreasing by 8. Left is x decreasing by 3. So I'm going to subtract 3, subtract 8. 5 subtract 3 gives me 2. 4 subtract 8 gives me negative 4. Okay, so that's all of our translation rules. We are also going to do the reflection rules in this video. They're a little quicker to get through. So visually, if we think about a coordinate grid here, this is our x-axis. So if I have some point, let's just call it P up here, and I'm reflecting over my x-axis, P prime is going to be down here. So my x-coordinate, say this is 1, this is 2, is the same for P and for P prime. My y-coordinate, let's just say this is 3, then would be down at a negative 3. So when we reflect over the x-axis, okay, whether we're going this way or we're going to go the other way, our x-coordinate stays the same. So from x, it's just going to stay in x. But our y-coordinate, we change the sign. Okay, so a lot of people want to say negative y, but this is the opposite of y. Because if this is where I started here, say if this was just P, and this was my P prime, I would start at negative 3 and go to a positive 3. So this just tells us to change the sign of whatever my y-coordinate was. Okay, so then if we look at our y-axis, see what happens. So say I have my point over here. So when I reflect that same distance, this is my P prime. let's say it starts at y coordinate 4. So this is -4. This is then +4. So my y coordinate is the same for both of those. So in this case, my y is what changes the same. And I'm going to take the opposite, depending on which way we're going, of my x. Not negative x, opposite of whatever x is. Okay, so I always tell myself if I'm reflecting over the x-axis, the x stays the same. If I'm reflecting over the y-axis, the y stays the same. Okay, so if I'm going from G to G prime, again, you could just do that test if you wanted to look at the coordinates. This is at the point 2, 2. This is the point -2, 2. So obviously my x coordinate is the one that's changing. My y is staying the same. Or just realizing you are reflecting over the y-axis. The y is the one that stays the same. Okay, so I will do A here with you, and then I'll let you do B and C. So remember, y-axis, y stays the same. So I have to take the opposite of x. So the opposite of positive makes that negative. Go ahead and try the next two. So x-axis, the x stays the same. I take the opposite of the y, opposite of a negative makes that positive. Y-axis, so the y stays the same. Opposite of the x, opposite of a negative is a positive.